Hello learners, we are again with the new program of economics at secondary as well as senior secondary level, that is factors of production and the brief note of production. For this program we have our expert with us, Dr. KB Singh. He is a man of economics, finance, and his area is also related to the production also. As we all know, production means production of goods as well as in services. Production is incomplete means we can say production needs joint efforts of factors of productions also. So sir will discuss in detail about all factors of production, their importance, their features and other things. Sir, please.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Chog. Production, as you said, is very important for any economy, and production is also known as main economic activities. It generates income for the economy, and these incomes are distributed to those people who provides the inputs, and these are known as factors of production. There are 4 factors of production, and these are known as land, labor, capital and entrepreneurship. Out of these 4, we can also classify them as production factors which are related to human beings, are also known as human resources, and they are known as entrepreneurship, supplied by some human being, and labor, some person who are working for the production activities. The other 2 factors, which are land and capital, are non-human in nature. So we'll discuss land first. We'll understand how land is important, what are the characteristics of the land. Land, as you all are aware, is a natural resources, and natural resources means that it is available to the economic activities because it is provided by the nature. So therefore it is known as a natural resources, and therefore it is also known as a gift of nature. Land in any region, whether it is India or any other economy, land has a limited supply, and therefore we need to rearrange the production on the basis of those limited facility. Land is immovable, means it cannot be moved from one region to the other region. So therefore the land which is situated in, say for example, New Delhi, would be available for production activities only in New Delhi. And the last, land has no opportunity cost. You are all aware of the opportunity cost. Opportunity cost is the cost of next best alternative. Land, as it is a limited supply, so therefore it has no opportunity cost. So if we move to the other factor, which is again a non-human in nature, that is capital. And capital, a human made resource. Capital not necessarily means only money or say currency or cash. Capital means all man-made materials, where is a plant, machinery, cash, everything is known as capital. And the main feature of this one is, as we said, it's a man-made, so therefore human beings make it. And secondly, the amount of capital is required for increasing the productivity of the organization. So if there is more supply of capital, the production would increase. If there is lesser capital, production would fall. So we can also classify the production activities between labor intensive and capital intensive. Labor intensive are those production facility which has labor as a main focus, human resources are the main focus, whereas those production activities which has capital, machinery, plant as a main focus are known as capital intensive units. The other human resources are, one is labor and the second one is entrepreneurship. So we'll discuss first about labor. Labor is simply a service, and the amount of labor is the amount of hours, the number of hours a person contributes in the production activities. So therefore labor supply simply is the number of people who are working in an organization multiplied by the number of hours which they work. So therefore we would have something like say productivity of labor or say mobility of labor. So productivity, the term productivity in terms of labor is used. Again we said number of hours. So how much units a person is contributing in the organization. Say for example, if we in an organization, if the amount of production is say 10,000 units, and the number of labor hours used is 5,000. So, we can divide these two to get what is the productivity of those organizations, right. So, labor again depends on many other factors, which is say for example population, the amount of say rewards or the incentive which the organization provides to those people who work as a labor. The third important area is can we import or export labor, because we said labor is a mobile factor. We can move labor from the one region to the other region. So, like land we said is immovable, labor we can move from one organization to the other organization, one area to the other area. So, that is a very important factor.
We have one difference ki labor wages, labor there are means wages and salary, there is a difference, and labor also we have white collar people and blue collar people.
Right.
White collar people, blue collar people, there are two different people. So wages, here we also include wage earners as well as salary earners.
Yes, all whether we classify them, the incentive which are given to the people who are working for the organization, if we classify them in salary or wages or by whatever name we call them, all efforts provided by human beings in our organization are classified as labor.
Okay.
And these labor may be at a very primary stages, so they are known as a workers or simply laborers.
Okay.
The effort is labor. The number of hours they put in the organization is known as the labor hours.
So whatever we are calculating previously, labor supply, number of workers into number of working hours per worker. This is for daily wages workers.
Daily wages per hour. Okay.
And nowadays we are using a very broad term for the permanent, or we can say white collar people, that is known as CTC, cost to company.
Cost to company.
Okay.
That is for those workers who are at the higher end of the production facility. Okay. Say for example marketing or say sales functions. There we don't see the number of hours. Okay. There we see the number of days who they are providing in the organization in the production facility.
This is for learners. We do have estimation of national income, estimation of domestic income. In that case we use this thing ki wages and salaries, wages of workers, salaries of employees. These are the basic things where student can take the knowledge and they can apply in national income also.
Exactly.
National income, I understand it's purely a practical area, but there also we have to be very much clear what to take while estimating national income, domestic income. Blindly we are taking, okay, ये इसमें आता है तो we have to take. We have to have means proper clarity also why we are taking and why we are not taking.
Exactly.
Although both compensation and wages, wages is the part of compensation.
Right.
But wages is for laborer and salary is for employees.
Right. We said about the supply of labor, then we also discussed about the productivity, how to calculate the productivity of the labor. We have compared two firms, firm A and firm B, okay. And in both the firm there are two elements which is very important to notice. One is the number of hours in firm A and number of hours in firm B, the number of labor hours exactly, and secondly the output in units. It is very important to understand here is in services the output units are not given as units as there is in material production. So therefore, if we divide these two, the output by the number of labor hours, we get the productivity, and then we can compare firm A and firm B which has higher productivity. Any firm which produces more output per number of labor is known as the firm which has higher productivity. So focus of any economy is to increase productivity, and like we said in the earlier slides, the productivity can be increased by employing more capital. So we can employ more capital to increase the productivity of any economy. Any company can increase their productivity by improving the number of say for example capital intensive, or say for example plant machinery, modernization of plant, all these would contribute to higher productivity. Other point which we would like to mention here is, we said we distinguished land and labor on the basis of mobility. We said land is immovable whereas labor is movable. So mobility of labor is very important characteristics, which would probably in a long run would lead to specialization. So, you will find out, say for example, Indian economy is more service dominated, whereas say for example, other economy like Chinese economy are more manufacturing dominated. So, therefore, mobility plays a very important role here.
As per their interest, they can move from
Exactly, yes.
area.
So, those countries which are higher in, say for example, manufacturing, people around the world would move towards them.
Yes.
So, probably there will be more engineering graduates which would be needed in manufacturing production facilities. Whereas, for a service, we need to have a different sets of skills. So,
and
mobility
our GDP is growing because of service sector area.
Exactly. Almost more than 50% of the contribution in GDP is by service.
By service.
So, therefore, we require people who are not only, say for example, having a domain knowledge of say engineering or IT, we would also like to have people who have say for example interpersonal skill or say communication, which is very important in the case of services. Land can be exploited to use production, we can increase production. Similarly, labor can also be, we can increase productivity of labor. How do we increase the productivity of labor? Is a very important area, like we have learners here. One of the important feature to increase the productivity is through education. Proper skills, giving training to them. Education and skill development is the most important factor which increases the productivity. The other one is like say if we improve the working condition. Right? The working condition may be like say for example if we give more incentive perks to the organization or to the people who are working, or if the management improves. So, all these would lead to higher productivity of labor. So, labor productivity is very dependent on these factors we can say. Skill you develop, you manage them well, you provide them incentive perks, right? So, all these would lead to their productivity. There are two types of mobility. One is based on the geography, the location, and other is based on the occupation. So, we call them as geographical mobility and occupational mobility. Geographical mobility is, we said labor is mobile, so can they move from one geography to the other geography, say from New Delhi to say for example Mumbai. So, we can say those are mobile. So, there are various factors which contribute to them. I say for example transfer is one factor. Many jobs are transferable. So, transfer would lead to geographical mobility. The other important mobility is occupational mobility, and occupational mobility depends on the personal factors. And the personal factors, say for example, if a family of labor moves from one location to the other location, say for example, there are many women who gets married to the other cities, they move from one location to the other locations. The other factor may be say monetary, say for example, people change his organization because they get more incentive in working in some other organization. The other factor may be say for example, they acquire skills at a later stage of life. Say for example, now they are in 10th, gradually working for 2 years they pass say 12th. So, they would get a higher opportunity, good opportunity, so they can move from one organization to the other organization. We discuss about land, we discuss about labor, we discuss about the capital. The fourth very important which drives all these four factors of production are entrepreneurship. And entrepreneurship is a gift which say a human being would have. And entrepreneurship is, say like say this in a very layman term we can say all businessmen are entrepreneur. All businessmen are entrepreneur because they collect land, they collect labor, they collect capital, and then they organize them to production facility. So, entrepreneurs are the person who by their skill, who by their entrepreneurship skill, they channelize all these into the production. So, that is the most important factor which we call them entrepreneurship.
Sir, I want to add one more thing. As we discuss about labor, labor can become entrepreneur in their later stages. And you said ki mobility is one part. Like if person is mobile, means a labor is mobile, he is just shifting from one job to another. And another case is that the one who is working here and he is transferred by the same job to some other part, other country, that time he is employed.
Right.
But the person, this is for learners also to understand this situation, because they have unemployment as a social and economic problem. When a worker is working in X company and he is not happy with the working condition of X company and he resigned from that company and he switch over to some another company. He want to switch over to another company, and in the meantime he is just searching for some another job, some another company. That time he rendered unemployed. That type of unemployment is technically known as frictional unemployment.
Right. So when they change one job to the other job.
This is for learners, because learners are very much confused about this frictional unemployment, and in present scenario this frictional unemployment is a very important thing, because people, they are also, sir, this is very common practice ki they want to work in any private company for 2 or 3 years, then they want to switch over to another country. Company also, job also, and geographical mobility also.
Right.
Geographically, job mobility, even they want to have some new area, new aura they want to have.
Exactly. We term them as, say, the monetary incentive which they get from changing the job. And second is through career advancement.
Yes.
Like say for example, people working as, say for example, assistant manager would be promoted to manager, and therefore they would be shifted from one location to the other location.
Okay.
So one is a monetary in nature because they get higher, say, pay, and the second is because of their occupation, they are say the career moves upward in the life, so it changes.
And sir, one more, age factor. This is there ki after a certain age, the people, they want to they don't want to move, or they want to move to their native place.
Right.
This is means majority is what they want to work at the same place, or because they don't want to move from that place, or they want to go to their original place or native place.
That is a factor which affects the mobility of labor from one place to the other. That is termed as a geographical mobility. What factors would affect the geographical mobility? Right. So we were talking about the entrepreneurship, right? And then we said entrepreneur are the person who are behind all these factors of production, are the main source which contribute to the say arranging all these factors of production. And apart from understanding these 4 factors of production, which is land, labor, capital and entrepreneurship, it's also important to understand, because production we said are the economic activities, and all economic activities must get economic benefit. So if it is not economic benefit, which then there would be no driver for say channelizing those sources to the production facility. So these drive, these influence why these factors gets into the production activities are also known as the factor returns. So like land gets a return which is known as a rent, capital gets the interest, and labor gets their wages or salaries, and entrepreneurship gets the profit. So these 4 elements, which is interest, which is rent, which is profit, which is salaries and wages, these are the drivers which influences the factors of production, which analyze the factor of production moves to those production facility in Indian economy. So if we have a higher rent, so people would, if let's say for example any land resources which has a higher rent, people would find say land moving towards those higher rents, or to those economic activities which is paying higher rent. Similarly, say for example labor, as you mentioned earlier, people move from one organization to the other organization because they get higher pay. So if there is higher pay, labor would move from one location to the other location, one organization to the other organization, one country to the other country, because now labor is mobile, and that leads to the globalization. And similarly is the capital, whereas the entrepreneurship is important, though it is mobile, but they would like to have their base in those locations where all these 3 factors are easily available.
Sir, we have our learners also with us. They also have some questions. They also have some queries. So I now welcome our learners also. So they are from AIs.
Okay.
We have accredited institute, and we call them from there only to just share their views and to raise their queries. So we have learners, please.
So my name is Samyak, and my question is, what are the challenges faced by an entrepreneur?
See, for entrepreneur, I must say one thing. Entrepreneur are those who work very hard. They are innovative. And I just quote for entrepreneur. For them, failure is not the end, but just the bend in the journey of life. I unquote. For entrepreneur, even you can become an entrepreneur. And as an entrepreneur, you can start your own business. You can start your own venture also. Right now, all colleges, all management colleges, they are just spreading this message among students to become entrepreneur, to start their own business, to start their own venture. You can start your hotel, you can start your own event management group, anything.
I'd like to add one point here. Like India is a developing nation, and employment opportunities are limited in numbers because we have a high population and lesser, say, economic activities. So entrepreneurship is a skill which say government or people would like to have, because they can generate higher employment. Like what Dr. Chugh has said, that you can start your own business and those own business would generate the incomes to you, as well as it generate, say, employment to many other people also. So you are yourself employed, as well as you are providing opportunity to many other people to join your organization as a employed person.
Like I want to quote one example. There is a dabba wala in Mumbai, Asli Food.
Very important.
Asli Food. He is an entrepreneur. He did his MBA, and after MBA he started just providing this services, dabba services, food services to the people, those who are working in corporate. And a very real homely means the taste, home taste food to all people in Andheri East. And he is very popular, and he means if we see his turnover, his income per monthly income, it is equivalent to the income of a good corporate people. And he is having his own bungalow and
look
everything.
at the number of people whom they have employed.
Yes.
There are more than 10,000 people who are employed by dabbawalas. Very important case.
Very important case.
Sir, my name is Tathagat, and my question is, what is the role of profit in affecting the factors of production?
Okay, you are asking the role of profit in affecting the factors of production. Okay, we mentioned there are 4 factors of production, and for each 4 factors of production, we said there are returns for them, and these returns we named as these are the economic drivers why those factors of production would be used in production activities. For land we said rent, for capital we said interest, for labor we said wages and salaries. And for the persons who are channelizing all these 3 factors of production, are entrepreneurship, are the persons who would like to have profits. So they would use their time, they will use their efforts, resources, only because they get in return something, and that something is profit. So profit is said to be the goal of any economic activities. Profit is said to be the goal of any entrepreneurial say aim of any entrepreneur or aim of any business. Right? So that is the main role in the production facilities.
If you go in detail about profit, like I quote the example of dabba wala, if he is not earning profit, he is unable to distribute to his workers, like in the form of wages, salaries. Out of profit only, means we can say for a profit, after deducting everything, he is also having a profit, an entrepreneur. And for profit, he is distributing to shareholders in the form of dividend.
Right.
He is paying taxes, corporate tax, profit tax. And third, he is retaining some part of the profit for future contingencies also, for future
development products, services.
Means if he is having his own money, then in future he need not to tap the doors of investors, private investors.
Exactly.
Like suppose I am having my own profit, I have profit this time, and out of the profit I just save some part of the profit which is known as retained profit, retained or undistributed profit.
Exactly.
Then in future, if suppose I have something, some opportunity, and sir is an investor, then I need not to tap the doors of the sir to give me money. I have my own money, I can use my own money also. Then I need not to pay the interest to any external party. This is the importance. You have profit, then you can just accumulate it. You can distribute to shareholders.
It can be reinvested in the business.
Reinvested in the business
and
also.
For growth and expansion.
Yes,
The
good.
business which is small, have say a small amount of profit, again those can be expanded, so you'll have higher profits. Again the profits would be redistributed.
Yes, yes.
Right, so
And
is
this
how
could
it
also be
channels.
the very important quality of a entrepreneur. So sir, this was a very wonderful session, because in this session we have incorporate various issues: economic, social, political and financial issues, everything, because this is important, means labor, capital, entrepreneur, everything we have incorporated. For this, sir, I extend my heartfelt thanks to you
Thank
for
you, sir.
sparing your time for us, for our learners. And I also extend my thank to our learners, special learners from various AIs, for coming here in this platform and sharing and posing the questions related to their problem. I just once again thanks to you.
Thank you.
जीवन ये प्रकाशित करने, राहों को आलोकित करने।
जीवन ये प्रकाशित करने, राहों को आलोकित करने। हम अपना दीपक स्वयं बने, हम अपना रास्ता स्वयं चुने।
अपना दीपक स्वयं बने, हम अपना रास्ता स्वयं चुने।
जीवन ये प्रकाशित करने, राहों को आलोकित करने।
धन साधन समय की सीमा से विद्यालय जो मुक्त हो। धन साधन समय की सीमा से विद्यालय जो मुक्त हो।
कभी पढ़े हम कहीं पढ़े, वे विषय की लोच से युक्त हो।
कभी पढ़े हम कहीं पढ़े, वे विषय की लोच से युक्त हो।
मित्रों हम उठे और जागे,
मंजिल आने की ध्वनि सुने। हम अपना दीपक स्वयं बने, हम अपना रास्ता स्वयं चुने।
जीवन ये प्रकाशित करने, राहों को आलोकित करने।
राष्ट्रीय मुक्त विद्यालय का है द्वार खुला सबकी खातिर। शिक्षा परीक्षा का अवसर एक बार ही क्यों मिलता फिर।
शिक्षा और परीक्षा का अवसर एक बार ही क्यों